a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Deus Ex Media.
Content Capable acknowledges the Indigenous people on the land on which we record this podcast, the Turungurung people. We offer our respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Sovereignty was never ceded. Welcome to Content and Capable, where I am easily influenced into doing things that are most definitely things I would enjoy, but just have never thought of. I'm Sam, I'm your host. I'm still getting used to winging an intro every week, but we're getting there. And joined with me today is the wonderful Owen from Through the Mist. Hi, Owen.
Hello, people that I've not talked to before. Yeah.
It's always weird guesting on like someone like a friend's podcast.
Yeah.
It's like, do not know what vibes we bring here.
Yeah, just come on, just go, what's up? I'm Owen. How are you people? Yeah. And then we move on.
Yeah. Owen, for those who may not recognize your dulcet tones, where might people recognize you and what do you get up to?
In the world of the internet, I just do one thing, which is, as previously stated, Through the Mist. It's a Percy Jackson lore podcast. So, if you like that, you can always head over and try it out. But that's me. That's me on the internet.
What was Charlie saying the other day? You guys really focus in on like the, a lot of the background stuff, not really the.
Yeah, I don't go.
Charlie's just.
I don't go book by book like a lot of those other podcasts, book related podcasts. I focus on the lore and try and figure out how it all works. Yeah.
Is it? I don't know. Does it break your brain a little bit? Because obviously Rick Riordan's a fantasy author, but trying to then also like the what we know of Greek and Roman mythology into a children's book.
It can get a little much. I've done an episode of trying to figure out how prophecies work. So that one went a bit wild and off the rails. Yeah.
Yes, I bet. We're not here to talk about Percy Jackson. That's for another day. A whole other podcasts, a whole other group of podcasts. We're here to talk about trains, which I was like, wow, there's someone as weird as I am who's mildly obsessed with trains. Thank goodness they're willing to come on a podcast and talk about it with me.
Trains. I like trains.
Yes. That is, I continuously, like, as much as it feels really, really, like, annoying, I do continuously just, that's rolling in the back of my head. Especially when I talk about, like, trains to people.
At some point, I say it. Like, yeah, I like trains, by the way, guys. It's just, what are you going to do?
So I could almost imagine it's like coming out. It's like, I've got something really important to tell you guys. I've been working up to saying it.
I know this is a
like
lot.
Train.
But it's true. I like trains.
Oh, it'd be hilarious. And then just have like, yeah, exactly. So when did you like first realize or first remember having like an interest in trains?
It's been basically my entire childhood. I think it started, apparently, maybe, when I was visiting a mum's friend's house. They had the old die-cast Thomas figures. I've got a whole box of them over there. But
yeah.
I still need to fix Edward. They had a whole die-cast box of Thomas figures, and I really latched on to James, apparently. And I think that's what started it. But then my dad was also into trains, so I think that it built on that. And then so I've kind of always just had a fascination with them, enjoyed them. I'm a train enjoyer.
Yeah.
You know?
Professional train enjoyer.
Yeah.
What a great title to have. So when, like, I don't know, it's very fascinating, at least from my perspective, a lot of the people that I know who are obsessed with, like, that area of infrastructure, you're talking about, planes and trains and
planes,
cars
trains, and automobiles.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say it and was like, no, this is too easy. But like, a lot of the people I know who are interested in that stuff have like family who work in the associated industry. For example, I also really like planes. Like, that's one of my, actually, it's like a huge obsession for me. And that came from, my father works for an airline. I will not say which airline. It's not hard to figure out which airline it is, but I will not say which airline he works for. And he, I don't know. I think I kind of latched on of like, I should know more about what my dad works on and like how that all works. And then it spilled onto other forms of transportation and public transport, which is where the trains came from. I was like, that, and I don't know, did you ever have, actually this is a really good question, did you ever have those like wooden train sets?
Brio?
Ones where you could like slot them together?
Yeah, of course I have Brio. We still got Brio. I still Brio with my nephews and niece.
Oh wow, I don't even know what the name is, we just call them the wooden train
Yeah,
sets.
Brio. Have got Brio, have Spencer, have Thomas, have Annie and Clara, have Toby. I've also got some classic Brio, like the black engine with the little red funnel.
Iconic.
Also got a very fun one, which is like a cable car Brio. So it has like supports and then track goes on top, but then the like cable car hangs underneath and you can go around.
Awesome. And so like, I don't know, as a kid who was kind of like mildly obsessed with trains, was it something you ever like felt comfortable telling other people? This feels very weird, but it's like one of those things that would you definitely be teased about at school.
Yeah, I think I didn't really have. I hung out with the more nerdier crowds in general at school, and or they were my friends from primary school. Like, I had basically 4 friends that went from when I started school all the way through until I ended school. So they kind of knew I liked trains and stuff, but it was not. So it was never like, and that group all had their like interests, and some of them also enjoyed trains. So it was never like, never got like bullied it for that. But like, yeah, there's still the overarching of like trains aren't cool, so that was always kind of there. And then I still have an aversion to being called a train spotter, even though that's nothing bad.
Yeah.
But like, it's from that idea of like, no, train spotting is they're the hardcore train enjoyers. And
yeah,
so I still have like an aversion to being called one of those, because I don't take numbers. I just go, that's a cool heckin' train.
I think this is one of those things that there are so many assumptions about people who are really invested in not only like all kinds of public transport infrastructure, that you're taking numbers, or you're hyper analyzing X, Y, and Z. And I could probably say that it's easier for someone like the aviation industry to take numbers and things like that. Like, that's definitely like, but the vast majority of people are like, no, I'm here to look at the pretty insert plane, train, or automobile. Like,
yeah. But it did used to be the cool thing, at least over in Britain, like to be a train spotter. It was a cool thing. It was the cool done thing. You would have like the train companies would produce spotter guides. Basically, it had a list of numbers and you ticked it off when you saw each train number. And then it just fell out of fashion. Probably because, the younger ones were like, nah, my parents did that. That's weird. So, that's usually what happens.
Yeah. Did you and so I don't know, as you finished high school and became a grown up. Did you was it something that you had ever fallen out of love with during that process of going through school?
No, it's always been there, and I think that's because I didn't necessarily get hammered for enjoying them, for loving my trains. There'll be occasional jokes for some people, but nothing I'm yeah. And so yeah, it never fell out of fashion in my head. And for my 21st birthday, the special thing I did was go and visit all the great little trains of Wales. That was my thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
So all the narrow gauge lines that have a overarching marketing group.
Yeah.
Just went and visited them all.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, it's one of those things, especially in the UK. It's not back in vogue, but it's back in the public attention.
And yeah,
I don't know. I'm thinking of Jeff Marshall and his amazing YouTube work.
Jeff is great. Jeff is great. Jeff's great. Love Jeff. But also, it's also came back quite heavily thanks to Francis Bourgeois.
That too. I think we do have to address Francis Bourgeois as well. The name is suspiciously French.
I do believe it's a fake name. I've heard that it might be a fake name. But power to him.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing some of the videos, because they came into my feed before they hit out the general public's feed, because they were train related. And some of the early ones where he's there's one where he's sitting on a chair and just a train flies past and he gets so excited he falls off. And I'm like, this is great. I'm not that enthused, but at the same time, I love that you're this enthused by them.
Yeah. It was very fascinating to see it. And I didn't necessarily see it until it blew up, because I don't my TikTok algorithm is a little bit stupid. And my YouTube algorithm's a little bit better. But then it did, once it hit Vogue, not Vogue as in the actual magazine, but it hit, everyone was on top of it. I saw it and I was like, oh wow, this is like watching Jeff, but younger and way more excited about a random train I have no idea about.
Yeah. He's done well. He's done well for the trains. He has.
I know. I don't know. What was your reaction to, him kind of bringing more awareness and, making it more popular?
I thought it was overall it was a pretty good thing for the train spotting community, because it was less. He's made it less uncool. It still might be uncool in certain circles, but then who likes those circles? Those circles can just disappear and vanish for all I care.
Yeah.
But in the base level society, he's made it less uncool, which is just it's great for younger people that want to get and do enjoy them currently. They're less likely to, because Jeff's great, but I don't know, I haven't seen his audience statistics, but I feel like they will skew slightly older. So Francis is skewing towards the younger ones, and especially the more impressionable younger ones, where they see this guy on the internet posting videos just loving trains, and they're less likely to get, if they get bullied about loving trains or whatever, they're less likely to fall out of love because someone else has said it's not cool, because they're like, but this guy's doing it, and look, he's got 1 million plus followers. Of course it's cool. Yeah.
It's definitely I don't know. I always find it very fascinating when it becomes to like a community that, you know, receives a whole bunch of popularity when someone, you know, makes it big either by accident or on purpose in their chosen like topic of expertise or what they've been covering for forever. And it's very interesting to watch the reaction because there's always a portion of the population, regardless of, you know, how you feel about anything, that will push back and go, but
it was
we
my
were here
thing
first. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
What you
Now everyone likes it.
What are you doing in my place? Yeah. I feel like there's still a lot of niches you can get into with train enthusiasts. Like you can have the people that are more like Francis who love the trains and will count the numbers and do all that stuff. And then you'll have the volunteers that work on heritage railways, and they do it because they love trains to start with. But then they can be more into the engineering side of the trains and how physically the trains are built, so like the mechanics of trains. And then you can get your steam train lovers, you get your diesel train lovers, you get your electric train lovers. Like you can have different eras of traction that you prefer. You can have people that are in there for the system engineering. So like, how do they timetable? How do they work out where to put signaling and all that? There's so much that can go into it that you can, if the general idea of liking trains blows up, which is more what Francis pushed, was the idea of liking trains and just loving what you love, which was, you can still feel like, oh, but I've got my thing. And I think that's because you have your thing.
Yeah, exactly. I think also, like, part of me goes, it's always good to get, you know, any sort of publicity, even if it does come from someone who, you know, may not 100% represent the community, like, perfectly. Like, Francis Bourgeois might, you know, might represent everyone perfectly, but also he might not. Like,
I think it's amazing that he was more what was the stereotypical I'm going to make fun of you sort of character in the way of liking trains, but blew up anyway. And then I think that's amazing. I think that's great in that sense. Like, it meant you didn't have to be. You don't have. It meant for others that aren't necessarily Francis, you don't have to worry, or the Francis type, you don't have to worry so much about getting that as your negative connotation, because that's what that's what the guy with all the followers does. So it's less likely to hit the negative connotation.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I think it's also like, I don't know, Francis is very unproblematic, and I think that, you know, when you have someone who's like advocating for something and it becomes not like, I wouldn't say Trainspotting has become instantly way more popular because of Francis. It's just become more popular, more accepted.
I think it's just become more accepted, which is, I think it's a better,
which is
quite, it's a good thing for the people that are
it's
there.
Still quite niche.
Yeah, I think it's just become more accepted. It's not a mainstream thing to do yet, which means not.
Yeah.
And most of the people that might be adverse to well, you're not actually a train like spotter. You're just like you're just jumping on the trend. They're less likely to up arms because it hasn't done that. It's just made it less uncool, and I think that's the best way to put it. It's less uncool now. It's just a thing that people they are train enjoyers. So what?
And also, like, I don't know, we fall into this trapping as a society so often. It's like when something blows up and becomes like really popular, I'm thinking especially things like video games or other really quite broad areas of life, you have a lot of people who become famous for that particular thing. Like, and then you, by sheer volume, inevitably have people who are problematic. And so it's like, oh, XYZ did, you know, ABC. Oh, well, you know, that's problematic. We can't support that person anymore. And it like sours it. Like I love people who game like online, you know, but I also like, I'm incredibly suspicious of them all the time because there are so many of them and there are so many stories of them doing bad things.
No, yeah, that makes it is. Yeah, I get that.
Sorry,
with less people.
A weird tangent
No. With
about
less
bringing
people,
awareness to niche topics.
Yeah, with less people in the public eye, you're less likely to find the problematic ones because you can't say there aren't those people. They're less likely to have a voice, which means I don't know what that means, but it's just statistics, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. I probably I don't know, as an aside, I probably should have asked you this way earlier, but what aspects of trains excite you the most?
Since we've already mentioned them, I feel like I'm a very Jeff Marshall type with trains. As in,
I love it.
I enjoy the opening of new stations, like the pathfinding, but also I enjoy like the old style, like this is a steam train, it does cool things, but I don't necessarily go fully deep on the engineering, but I do because I question that sort of stuff anyway. So I'm a very general view kind of train enjoyer. Yeah, that's where I put myself, which is I know it's
I think that's part of why Jeff Marshall really appeals to me as well. It's all for me, especially his his speed running. Wow, what a gaming term right there. Exactly. But his world record attempts and
Race the Tube.
of all things, all the stations as well. Race the Tube, that's right, that's it. But also, all the stations, both the UK and the Ireland versions, were what kind of drew me, especially to his content creation, because it was oh shit, this is all about scheduling and networking, which is for me, whose parental figure works in an airline industry, it's this is the kind of shit I live off, because airlines don't the equipment's nice and everything, but it's the scheduling and when you decide to do X, Y, and Z that I think is really, really way more fun to think about.
Yeah, there can be there can be different, like I was mentioning earlier, there can be different niches within a niche, and that sort of area of so if we've got train going from here to here, and then we've also got a train that's got to go from here to here, and then we've got to cross here, but we also want this one to go every 30 minutes, and then this one to go every 30 minutes. Then then because this is a simple answer, you go, well, okay, we'll offset them by 15 minutes, but then expand that across an entire country's worth of network with the longest route going literally from the top of the country to the bottom of the country. So that's impact. So any minor impact it has on every single other route, and then insert freight operations, which are much more flexible in their timings and can change and get new routes put up quite quickly. It's a lot. There's a lot of tiny things. You're okay, this is quite amazing. It's why we're train delays and stuff. It's something can happen in Birmingham that can affect trains across the entire country. So a train could get stuck in Birmingham for an hour, but it could cause a delay effect in I'm trying to think of a faraway place that people might know that aren't necessarily British. It could affect trains in Cardiff. No train runs from Cardiff to Bristol, not a single one, but it can still affect trains in Cardiff and give them a 15-minute delay because the delay just knocks back through all the different services.
Yeah, exactly. And it is just and I think people forget this with intricate infrastructure, especially timetabling, and the running of trains, planes, and automobiles. Is one tiny thing. It's very much a butterfly's wings kind of thing. One tiny thing happens here, and all of a sudden you're 3 hours late on the tube or something. And it's what the fuck went on here that has got me to this point. And I secretly dig it. I secretly dig trying to figure out, how late am I going to be or how early I'm going to be based on, how things are running so X, Y, and Z far away.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the timetabling like graphs they do to work out all the timetabling?
I have. It scares me.
They also scare me. They're crazy.
It's one of those things that only like the mega brain could kind of understand.
If your listeners are interested, do search them up because they are truly just wild graphs to look at. They make no sense, but they make perfect sense at the same time. They're crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a lot, like, I think people also just don't realize how big of a process it is to, organize all of that. And like, especially in Europe where you guys have such a dense rail system, even the UK.
Well, yeah. So
a really good example.
I mean, in Europe, if you want to get deeper to it, in Europe, so in the UK, we have 2 timetabling changes a year, and they're planning like 10 years in advance, these timetables.
Yeah.
So like, and then, so it doesn't so affect us so much, but each country in Europe will individually timetable their own trains. And then you've got the cross-country trains, as in cross-country borders, not the train operator in the UK. The cross-country borders that then have to be timetabled to suit both the old UK timetabling change. And then when Eurostar came in, we needed to put another one in so that it could work with France and continental Europe's timetabling change. So there's a lot. I don't know what else to say, but
I know, and everyone goes, oh, why can't this be like more convenient or better timed? And it's like, well, no, because there's like 7,000 steps that need to be followed 10 years in advance for one tiny change to be made to make it slightly more convenient for you to catch, your train after work or, get to where you want to go without 7 changes.
Yeah, but then at the same time, there are some train services that clearly make no sense. Like,
that too.
We're gonna put like, there's some stations in the UK that clearly they're only serving because they have to, and they really don't want to serve these train stations. So they will give it like a single Sunday service in one direction only, and you're like, this is the most useful train service of all time.
I love a good parliamentary service. This is the thing, when you go down a rabbit hole like this, especially the UK's rail system, and because Jeff has done so much work on this kind of shit, it's like, this is amazing. It's one of those things you sit down and you go, there is so much more educational content. And because I've been watching Jeff Marshall for years and years and years, it's really hard to kind of like go, this is where I've learnt everything from. Like, this is not something that is like happened all at once. It's happened progressively.
Yeah, you've not been taught it. You've just been drip fed all this information that you're piling on top of each other and going, and like it's just slowly adding.
It reminds me of when people ask me why I know so many weird history facts or like weird phrases in like random European languages. And it's like, I just got drip fed this. I blame horrible histories for half of my history knowledge, but I got drip fed like this so often, and it was like, and I think people forget that a complicated topic like trains or anything else can be drip fed like this, and you can learn it over like a really long time.
Yeah, if you start watching videos like that because you enjoy the idea of it, and then you just start going, oh, I've been learning. And you're like, oh, I've actually been learning some of these facts, because they'll mention it and you'll be like, oh, I know what he's about to talk about now, because because that's that, innit? And it's like, oh, hang on, I've been learning all this stuff.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? No, I completely forgot. My brain stopped working as to but it is that moment of realization, and then you realize that maybe you know too much, you like have it's like I didn't realize that all the content on my YouTube page was my YouTube, it's not a For You page. I don't know.
Homepage, yeah.
YouTube homepage, yeah. Was all educational videos. I think when I realized that was when Nebula was started, and I was like, oh shit, all my favorite creators are actually educational YouTubers.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I'm on Nebula. Oh, you okay? I'm on Nebula. Oh, okay.
It's like, yep, I am a nerd. That's true.
It has been.
This is
you
way
guys
more...
have now just confirmed what I kind of already knew.
Nebula, more like NerdTube.
Yeah. Rebrand, guys. Get rebrand. Come on,
Nebula. You're going through some massive software updates. I think a name change is needed as well. But yeah, no, it is, and I don't know, like for you as you were learning and of being drip fed all this content, was it like was it entertaining? Like, I don't know. For me, it was incredibly entertaining, but I'm an inherently very weird person and will probably listen to like a 5-hour lecture on, the intricate workings of a political party just for shits and giggles. So...
No, yeah. I mean, so I had been watching those sort of shows for like ever, but the BBC history ones, and like there's one show that keeps on getting on repeat, and it's like I've seen this 3 or 4 times now. I know exactly what's about to happen. I don't need to watch it again. But the fun thing with like some of the YouTube stuff is they skip the basics because they know the audience that are going to reach them, at least to start with, are the trained nerds, are the people that know the basics. They don't need to rehash the basics. People know the basics, so they just they skip some of the basics, it's great for me because I don't have to watch people talk about the same thing over and over and over again, which is what all the mainstream television shows were like, oh, this is a steam train, it works by doing this. I'm like, yeah, we know that, come on, get to anything new, give me new content. And the YouTube guys gave me new content, like Jago Hazard, currently, and that's another YouTuber. They do a load of they focus on like the history of it, and I haven't really learned the history, but it's like the history of why. So like the history, mainly the tube. He does a lot of tube stuff, but it's all like the history of like, oh, this station was built here in this time, and it was because this dude wanted this, and it was because like it's why is it called the tube, or why is it all called the underground? It's like that was one of the recent videos, and it was like it's just stuff that I'm like, oh yeah, give me that please. That's new information that most people, that mainstream like TV shows just skip over. So I'm like,
this is the thing. I always get everyone goes, oh, you like X, Y, and Z. You'd really love this documentary. I'm like, no, I probably would really hate it because it is too broad. I need more niche content.
It's like I've been in this world for too long that I know everything that documentary is going to tell me. I'm like, so it's like, yeah, thank you.
Well, what was it the other day? I think I'd realized sorry, this is embarrassing. Oh yeah, somewhere there was a documentary that had come out about the Garn here in Australia, which is a massive train that runs from the bottom of the country to the top of the country. It's very much a tourist train. Like it's very luxurious, expensive. You don't use it to get from A to B at all. And we were watching it, and they were pulling up all these fun facts, and everyone's like looking at me, looking to see how I'd react. And I'm like, this is incredibly boring. Like, please talk about something more interesting. I want to hear more. I want to hear more about, why they chose this route instead of, any other route. Not how, like, I know how they built it. I know what they did to build it. I want to know more about, like, the intricate stuff.
Yeah, they're playing to their dolphin audiences, and the people on. I mean, you can say this with a lot of different subject areas, but the people on YouTube can play into their niche a lot harder. So the people that enjoy that content actually can get more out of it because they don't have to garner to a wide audience base, because there is a wide audience base in that niche, and the niche will find them.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I think this is the beauty of social media, and this is where, like, obviously, like, I don't know, I'm a journalist. I've got to be careful about what I say in terms of, like, my future career. But obviously, you know, TV has its place, like, especially free-to-air TV, where, you know, broad audience, big things. For example, we're recording this right after the Australian Grand Prix has happened, which Owen hasn't watched, and I haven't watched the last 2 minutes of, and I am desperate to watch it. But like, I'm sorry. As an aside, for anyone who is like into Formula One, I get it now. I've never ever felt the desire to be anywhere interested in Formula One. Watching that 2-hour race in Melbourne, and I was like, fuck yeah, this is awesome.
No, but like talking how like we enjoy trains, or like you enjoy your transport stuff, and like I don't care about the corners and the speeds and the driving. I'm like, meh. Give me the strategy stuff, please.
Give me Wendover Productions video about the logistics of Formula One.
Yeah, how do they transport all the equipment from one race to the other? Oh gosh, the map this year. No,
and literally, if there's anything I could plug on the slide, it is Wendover Productions video about the logistics of Formula One, because it is A, fucking really well produced, and B, so awesome to like know that like this is the schedule to get from A to B as a Formula One team who literally has to move a small city every time they want to go somewhere. Amazing. It's like fucking but yeah, I don't know. I completely forget what I was talking about, but like to an extent, you know, it's one of those things that trains like exist, and they exist in most parts of the world. So it's like, it's not hard to be away from your closest local train, you know.
Unless you're in America, go and find because, your local train. Sucks for trains.
Unless it's only some states, you know, just go drive. The state's not that big.
Some of them aren't the size of an entire country.
No. But I don't know. We have entire states the size of, you know, where millions of people in a population in the states live. This is the beauty of living in Australia. Everything is bigger, and we have the proof.
No. Australia is bigger. However, the population is much more densely plopped on the coast, isn't it?
Yes.
So you go further inland, and it's just like, well, it's just outback.
I do live inland, of all things. I live at as I have said, my official residence is bumfuck nowhere, Australia. I do live in a town of about 4,500 people. There are people here, Western Eurasia, but it's, you know, it is very fascinating to see the divide between people who live on the coast and people who don't. And I think this is one of the great things about like a place like the UK, which is so small, so densely populated, and has so many fucking trains. It's not even funny. You know, you get to kind of, you've got like a huge variety of things to like look at and experience and nerd out about.
Yeah. I don't have to travel too far to hit some fun things. But at the same time, I live like right next to a basic main line, not the most basic main line. So it's just like nothing. I see the same train every day. If I went and watched out, I'd be like, meh. Occasionally I might see a fun livery, like there's like any of the Pride trains. They're all great. I love those trains. They're great fun. But like,
I didn't know there were pride trains. That's cool.
yeah. Basically now every train operating company has their own little pride train. The best pride train, fully shout out, goes to Avanti West Coast on their Pendolinos. It's an entire train just repainted, and it looks great. They've also done that for a couple other things, but the pride train is top tier out of all of them because it's the most colourful.
I was about to say, the liveries, the special liveries on like any, on trains and planes especially, are just so much more fun to watch. It's like, oh yes, I'm seeing this boring plane that I've seen all the time. Oh, but it's got like, I don't know, our big international airline here, Qantas, is pretty boring, I do have to say. And they're not very good with their special liveries. But, sometimes the Japanese one's always great. They've got an R2-D2 plane. And
That's amazing.
It's an R2-D2 plane.
Yeah. I feel like you get on your plane like, oh, this is the R2-D2 plane. Nice. It's like...
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Or when I was living in Brisbane, the trains were like... there's like 5 or 6 different models of trains on the same, network, so you never were quite sure which kind of train you were jumping on, and it was always, I don't know, it kind of defined your experience on the line, because they definitely put the Povo trains on the Povo lines, which was a little bit like, okay, what are you doing here? But also there was way more graffiti and things that as well.
I mean, usually just how train logistics work, if you've got a train that has more higher passenger numbers, and it's more likely to get the new trains, because the new trains probably have more capacity than the old trains. So it's just how it works.
Unless you live in Brisbane, where they rolled out our new generation rolling stock on the line that now doesn't operate on Sundays anymore, into the richest area of town, because if you're rich, you don't use public transport. But it was also the shortest line, so I guess they were like, it's the shortest one, and then they rolled it out on the airport line, which costs you $20-something to use any of the stations on. It's like, what the fuck what the fuck's going on here? And then we had the Commonwealth Games down the Gold Coast, so it got rolled out for that as well. But it was this took forever, and it was mildly infuriating to watch, because you would kind of secretly hope for it, and you never. No, but panning back to the special livery stuff and the different trains. I watched a video of why train spotting isn't thought of as cool or isn't as mainstream as it was, or why people like me more interested in the heritage stuff. I can't remember who it's by, and I feel really bad about that. But this towards the summary of it was like, well, back in the day you would have 50, 60 different classes of steam engines that would go to one station. So you could see such a massive variety of trains. Nowadays, you've got maybe 2 per operator. And depending on where you live, that could even just be you've got 1 type. And then even now we're going to end up with, Great Western, LNER, Avanti West Coast, East Midlands trains. So we're going to end up with 4 train operating companies that run identical looking trains, but just different liveries. Boring.
And they're all all the Hitachi things, and they were just, so it is just that it's getting very samey, and some people just, so it's that thing of that might be, it's just, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I don't know. It's a fascinating thing as well. There has been a critique recently that there hasn't been a lot of new interesting designs of traditional trains. When we think about the cutting edge of railway technology, you think about the Japanese and the Shinkansen and their maglev Shinkansen stuff. And it's but that's not what's getting for people in the vast majority of places from A to B. What's going to get you there is, the cutting edge of traditional rail technology. And part of me is I don't want to be the person who discourages innovation, but we also do need to innovate within the limitations of the practical technologies we have today, i.e. the UK's very curvy rail infrastructure.
We're doing fine. I don't know. No, nothing. No, it's not like we don't have. It's not like we only have one proper high speed line in the UK. Nope. And it's not like the second one
That goes to like 2 stations.
it's not like the second one's slowly getting demonetized because some people don't realize how infrastructure projects are priced, and that the fact that it's going over budget is pretty normal, and it's going to cost a lot of money, and it's fine, and we all
Yeah. Strong opinions here. Sometimes I wish the UK was a little more French and was like, fuck it, we're going to protest because we want our railway, or I don't know, we want X, Y, and Z. But then also I realized if everyone protests like the French, the world would be in anarchy, I think. Only the French can be the French.
The French are the French, and then they're the French, and that's it. And that's all we'll say on the subject.
Yeah, exactly.
French are French, and that's all we'll say on the subject. You can take that however you want.
Oh. But yeah, no, it's I don't know. It's I always think of, because we have in Queensland, we have what we nicknamed the tilt train, which is the train that runs all the way along the east coast of our state. It's lovely. Only runs like 3 times a week, whatever. But it uses the same technology as, I want to say, the ATR, but it might not be the ATR.
Does it go whoop?
I may be thinking.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Yeah, the woo woo one.
Yeah. The advanced passenger. The British Rail invented it with the advanced passenger train, and then they sold it to an Italian company who perfected it.
Yeah, the APT. That's it. And I always think about that. I'm like, the British couldn't. Their rails were even too curvy for tilting trains.
I mean, we've got them on the network now. With Pendolinos.
Yeah, still, even then,
I'm like, so who cares?
I'm like, yeah. I don't know. It's a weird time. I don't like. What's your favorite way to enjoy trains? Like, is there something that you like prefer doing when you want to go and enjoy trains?
I go to a heritage line to enjoy trains. That's where I go, because you can stick your head out the window, which is it's great fun.
Fuck yeah!
And usually they put on and then if it's a steam engine, that's even better, because they just. It feels different, and there's this different smells, and like the senses can get I do enjoy my steam trains more 100%. But
that's amazing.
Yeah, because it's just you get like the best time to go and see a steamer train is a sunny like February, like March day, because it's quite chilly. But that's the point, because it means you will see the steam. And if it's a sunny day, you don't care about the rain anyway. Because steam's hot air, effectively. So when it's hotter, the steam dissipates quicker. So when it's colder, it stays for longer. So it looks like there's more of it. So it's just,
Yeah. Smoke machines, everyone.
It is a thing
It does remind me, I have been to the theatre recently. I'm like, ooh, the smoke's looking really good. And then I realised that the theatre was much cooler because it is getting winter here.
Yeah. But it is a thing I think about, how like all those heritage steam engines, how are they going to deal with climate change and the fact that we're going to stop mining coal at some point?
I wouldn't be surprised if it turns into... We've had technologies evolve like this before. Yeah. I don't know, we could go wood burning. I think the other thing it might be also is that, like, you don't need to mine coal on an industrial scale to supply heritage lines.
So we were driving somewhere. I stopped at a train station, and like the general manager for the line was there, and he was talking. And I don't know how it happened. I was outside at the time. Came back in, and he was talking to my parents about the cost of running the heritage line, and it costs. I can't remember exactly what the numbers were, but like to run a steam engine for a day, it costs like in the triple figures. Like £100,000 sort of deals, like up there. But then to run a diesel train, it cost them like 10,000. Like it was like a whole 10 zero knock off the end difference. And
it's fascinating because like part of the appeal is that these are, you know, representations of the history of the rail infrastructure.
It's also, and it's changing how the people that are running them think about them, because they all started off with basically a bunch of dudes that wanted to play trains. That's how most of them started, and they can't run like that anymore because they just financially, it's not possible. And then with the thing that occurred, and everything shutting down, and like people might be, I think it's getting those people back to make the profits again, to run the steam trains. And then you got to think about, okay, but what happens when coal mining stops? Because that, even if they just did it for heritage services, the cost of the coal would massively increase because it doesn't commercially make sense to mine that much coal.
It's fascinating. The other aspect of this as well is like things like insurance and maintenance and bits and pieces as well. And when you don't have government stepping in going, we want to protect these important parts of our history and our tourism sector that obviously aren't going to ever we hope they perform well, but may not perform up to the point where they can break even. But we do need to preserve it because it's important, or like we feel like we need to prioritize it. I don't know. It's very stressful.
What I am excited for though is the first UK electric heritage line. Can't wait for that to happen.
Isn't like the Isle of Man like?
Yeah, but it's not. It's a calm dependency. It can get complicated.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about UK national network. Like mainline, electrical.
Yeah, exactly.
The first heritage line to get electrified. Now that's going to be a thing.
Or we do like anti-beaching and just like open up all of these like abandoned rail corridors that no one's ever used.
We don't really have them protected like they do in some places. But that is kind of also was on the table for a bit, and some places have taken it up. Actually, surprisingly,
I think it's a very interesting crossroads. I think across the world in terms of public transport infrastructure, we're seeing it here in Australia as well. We've just invested billions of dollars into a tunnel underneath Melbourne. Sydney's building what they call a metro, which isn't actually a metro, and Brisbane has also built a tunnel underneath it. It's like the three biggest cities in the country have spent much money on on this, and other cities around the country have also spent a lot of money on their public transport. And we're sitting here going, part of me, like what I know to be true is that we now need to continue this investment pattern. We need to invest even more, build even more railway lines and keep going. Otherwise, we're going to rest on our laurels, and then things are going to get shit again, and public transport and our railway lines especially fall into disrepair the more we rest on our laurels. But another part of me is like, the government really doesn't want to do that. And we're seeing this with things like HS2, where the Elizabeth line opened and they're like, let's start cutting funding from HS2 now that the Elizabeth line is open.
Yeah, HS2, I mean, it has snowballed quite a bit in costs, but at the same time, it's all, and they're trying to compare it to other high-speed lines across Europe and their costs, but apparently high-speed, they cost them differently in Europe than they do. They cost each station as a separate contract and didn't put that into the total costs for constructing the high-speed line. That was just the track cost. But we've amalgamated it all. And they're cutting, what makes no sense to me is what they're cutting the base functionality of it out. Okay, so we're going to, because the purpose of HS2 is to have the north of England, which is generally financially worse off, connected quicker to the financial centre of the country, aka London. The further away you get from London, usually the less money the area has, which is a whole thing in itself that can be talked about. But the idea of HS2 was to improve those connections, and it was supposed to link up with the Northern Project Powerhouse project as well, which is another rail one to connect the east and the west of the north a bit better.
Yeah, because like the north is quite dense. When you really look at the north, it's like the north of the country is fairly dense. You've got a lot of cities fairly close together.
Because it was the industrial heart of the country. That's where a lot of the manufacturing and factories took place. Further down, like southwest, it was more where the materials were actually collected from. But up north, a lot of the so Sheffield was the steel center as well. The steel, a lot of the steel was made, and like you have that all over, and it's like you can see that just by looking at the canal system. There's more canals up north than there are down south. It's like just look purely based on that, and it's like yes, so that it was important at one point. However, London or whatever's happened over history, and it's become, with all the closing of all those industrial sectors, it has become slightly worse off. And the whole idea of HS2 was to make it, relieve pressure on the rest of the existing network, so we could improve.
Which is like obviously really good.
We can improve timings for loads of different areas. Like the example that I hear someone give is always so the trains that go up to North Wales and like Aberystwyth and like Pwllheli and that lot, they go through Birmingham, and actually by making HS2, we can increase the amount of trains that run to those far off places that have nothing to do with HS2.
Yeah, exactly.
But also that was part of it, and you could also increase freight train traffic and everything. But then the second part of it is, actually, we can also have a quicker time to get from London to like Manchester, Liverpool, Sheffield, Leeds, and Birmingham itself, which is the Midlands, so that's fine.
Yeah.
But it increases that time, decreases that time, which in theory would mean that it means that people can go work in those places, or big companies can have offices up there without having to worry about getting back down to the financial center in taking a long time to get back down. That's like the theory behind it. And it was supposed to improve connectivity. Exactly. But what are they cutting? They're cutting everything basically north of Birmingham. So that functionality then just goes.
It frustrates me on like a weirdly deep level as well. It's like, from a politics point, because I'm also like, I'm a journalist by trade, and my speciality is politics. From a politics perspective, this just doesn't make sense. Like, you're alienating like theoretically future voters. Yeah,
politics in England is screwed at the moment anyway. So that
that too. It's great. I enjoy watching it.
They're doing that for other, like I mentioned, Northern Powerhouse Rail, and they're alienating the North in so many different ways, and it's like people always ask, why does London get all the fancy new transport things? Why did London get Crossrail where other places haven't seen anything in years? And it's that mentality, just on a scale that has even more money and more investment involved in it. That sort of push against it again. Then politics of the rail system is also absolutely mental over here. So,
well, and you think about like the history, and I just look at that. Like, I look at Margaret Thatcher and Beeching, and I go, it really feels like we're about to repeat ourselves here. We're on the verge of like, we've built all these new railway systems. Let's cut all the ones that are inefficient. And it's like, that's not how this works, guys. Like, those still have value. Please leave them alone. Don't touch.
It's the Beeching report, because we all like to blame Beeching, but it was not really technically Beeching's fault. The Beeching report just reported on lines that made money and lost money. Purely from a financial point of view, that's all they looked at. Didn't look at it from a strategic point of view or anything like that. Just purely financial, which is where a lot of places lost. Like Wales is lost massive amounts of lines. So
many railway lines,
that like even just keeping 2 or 3 of them open and like maybe improving a couple services could be making a huge difference these days. Like to get from the north of Wales to the south, you have to go via England. Like you can't go the whole way through Wales. You can't do it.
Yeah.
There's the heart. It's not possible. Like you have to get. So it's quicker to drive to most places in Wales than take the train, because the train doesn't exist anymore in Wales, and it's just So
exactly.
You got to look. You can't just look at the finance. You got to look at the possibility and like I can't think of the right word.
No, 100%. And I think that it's also like people don't think about, yes, financially it may impact, and this is like true not only for rail systems but for all public transport systems, including things like flying. Yes, the route may not make money, but sometimes it's an essential connection, which is where things like the US government step into, or the Australian government as well, step in and subsidise regional routes, or, this is why this is a big company, not every route you're going to be 100% profitable all the time on.
Yeah, it's the thing with like England is because it's we are quite small, you can make the argument for getting rid of one transport system because they're only 15 miles away from the nearest hub station. Yeah. So like you can make the argument to get rid of it a lot easier than some other places. Like I watch another channel on YouTube, Downey Live, and like they do a lot of travel things.
I love Downey Live, yeah.
And like I can remember one of the, like he does like ridiculous, like, oh, I'm gonna go take the longest train route or whatever. And one of them, it was like this train was like the most vital link for these like communities that are truly in the middle of nowhere. I think I watched another one which was like about one of the Australian trains that went from the east coast all the way to the west coast, and it was the same vibe of like how it dropped off. It didn't just drop off passengers, but it dropped off it had extra cars on the back that it would decouple and leave in the siding, which had, I'm trying to think of the word, like just supplies in it, just goods, freight. It had goods in it, and it was vital for those people that live there. Or if that wasn't there, they would have to get it another way or move, because
exactly,
it can take it with it. Yeah,
it's very fascinating. Anyway, we've kind of run out of time. I love this. I've loved this conversation. I loved how we got into the nitty gritty. I do apologize for everyone who's listened and just watched two nerds nerd out about the England's train system for like probably a good third of this episode.
And we could keep going. There's some things we haven't even touched
We've only scratched the surface here. Like there are so many other, I don't know, even the tube, or like the idea of Crossrail 2. Look at the idea of Crossrail 2 and I'm like, there's opinions.
They've already got Thameslink. They don't need it.
Yeah, that too, actually. You're not wrong. But Owen, for those who want to hear more of your amazing opinions and thoughts, where can people find you on the internet?
Yes. So as stated at the top, it's not going to be on trains, sadly. I don't do anything to do that. But if you want to hear just more of me talk nerdy things in a nerdy way, you can follow Through the Mist, Percy Jackson Law podcast. Just search it up on however you're listening to this, search it up on that and it should appear. And also you can follow the Instagrams at Through_Mist if you want, just to support. That'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah. Has there been anything you've been reading, watching, listening to that you wanted to plug? Sorry,
we're good. Just came out. We mentioned them a lot, so just go check out Jeff Marshall. Just go check him out if you're interested in trains in any capacity, even just like the tiniest bit. Go check him out. He's a great guy, great starter point. Just go check him out.
He's really lovely, and like even some of his Londonist videos as well. Go and like if you want something that's like really low impact, go and watch like his Secrets of the Underground videos. They're always very engaging, and I always feel like the gateway drug to train videos. Well, you can find me at sam.the.journalist on Instagram and on TikTok, and Sam OB Journalist on Twitter, where you can go back in time and see my thoughts on the Australian GP. A lot of it's actually got to do with camera quality, because I got very upset very early on at how poor the camera quality was. For a country where our film industry is like courted by Hollywood and Bollywood at the same time, you'd think we would have better cameras for a sports event. And yeah, sorry. So many one-liners here. You definitely check out the podcast on Content the Letter and Capable on Instagram, and just go and check it out on Facebook as well. Just search that one up there. This week, I shall be plugging, because you've already plugged Jeff Marshall's YouTube channel, I'm actually going to plug something completely different. South African / New Zealand / sometimes honorary Australian comedian Ursula Carlson has a special out on YouTube called Token African. If you are a fan of like that kind of bit crass humor, but it's not like really inappropriate, it's just like mildly inappropriate but insanely hilarious, definitely go check it out. It's one of my favorite comedy specials I've seen this year, and I've seen a few. Well, thank you, Owen, so much for coming on Content Capable. It has been a blast.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's been fun to talk trains and infrastructure.
Trains, and more trains. Content and Capable was recorded, edited, and produced by Samuel O'Brien. You can follow the podcast at Content, the letter N, Capable on Instagram and Twitter, and you can find it on Facebook. You can also send an email through to contentandcapablepod@gmail.com with any of your thoughts, queries, or concerns. The best way to support the podcast is to leave a review on your preferred podcatcher so more people can hear the podcast. The art was done by Opia, and the music was written, edited, and produced by Jason Hilton. Content and Capable is proud to be a part of the Deus Ex Media Network, where you can find a podcast for any of your nerdy interests.
What's up, potheads? I'm Christina Kahn, host of The Restricted Section, the Harry Potter Slander Harry Potter Book Club podcast. We are a raunchy, rambling, unabashedly pro-trans rights Harry Potter Book Club podcast hosted by a bunch of nihilistic millennials who are desperately clinging to childhood fantasies as a way to escape the monotony of our 9-to-5 work culture and the inevitable extinction of the human race at our own hands. Isn't it wild that this book series was spontaneously created by the gods and has no actual author? Welcome to the show. The Restricted Section releases episodes on Wednesdays. This summer we're releasing bonus episodes fortnightly. We just finished The Goblet of Fire, so you have plenty of time to catch up before we start Order of the Phoenix at the end of August. The Restricted Section is a Movie Night Crew Network podcast and can be found at Restricted Section Pod or at Restricted Pod across all the socials. And just to make it clear, fuck TERFs.
Thank you for listening to Content and Capable. Don't forget to rate and review, and we'll see you next week for another episode.
Deus Ex Media.